Hey, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and what a delight and an honor to have back with us today our good friend, Dr. Jerry Johnson. He's the president and the CEO of the National Religious Broadcasters, and he's one of the hawks out there in behalf of us Christian broadcasters, and I'm a proud member of the NRB, and I want to say, Jerry, thank you for what you do in our behalf.
Well, you're welcome, Perry, and we love the Dove at NRB, and we're proud of you. When we think of broadcasters at NRB, if you had a dictionary article, we would want the picture of Perry and the Dove there to show what NRB ought to be and do.
Hey, congratulations on your new home. You're there in Washington, D.C., or a stone's throw from the Capitol. How's it going?
Well, it's great. We've already had more visitors in the last 3 months than we had at the last 3 years at the previous office. So this is really proving to be a good move. If you cross the street, you are on Capitol property. So we are on Capitol Hill, right next to Union Station, 1 Massachusetts Avenue, and we're increasing our footprint to defend free speech for you and all the other Christian broadcasters.
Well, here we are in one of the most interesting election cycles ever. And
Yes.
There's a lot of emotions out there. And this morning I was greeted with a e-blast from Dr. Dobson and Franklin Graham. They did a joint e-blast this morning saying, Christians, register and vote. And I know that's your message as well, right?
Well, it is our focus, A lot of times people think about Christianity, and obviously Christianity is Christ. It's Jesus. And they think, well, Jesus wasn't political or something like that. But actually, when you think of the New Testament, we can do a theology of voting. And I think it starts with Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount. He says, you are salt, you are light. And we think about salt. What does it do? It prevents decay. It also adds some flavor. And our world is decaying around us. And Christians can prevent that decay. He said, you're the light of the world. The world is getting very dark. It's a dark place, dark economically, socially, in so many ways. But Christians can shine the light. We can make a difference. We can add flavor. We can expose. And this is something Christians do by voting. And there's more.
One of the key things here, Dr. Johnson, is religious freedom. We're all concerned about it, and we're also very concerned about First Amendment rights. And I want to get your comment on both of those, and in particular, how it may relate to what the president recently has done by turning the control of the internet over to an international body.
Well, it's just awful. There's so many ways to go at this, but let's just address the last point first. In the past, the internet has been controlled, essentially governed by, regulated by a consortium between private industry and the U.S. government, but it's been a U.S. Governed deal. And this is good because we have the First Amendment, and America has a very high view of freedom of speech, of liberty. But if you put together some kind of an international body, which now it's been ceded over to this international group, you've got someone like China or Saudi Arabia on this council and panel, and they will have say. They'll have input. These countries are already censoring free speech on the internet, censoring internet use and web domains. This isn't a good thing. These people don't have a high view of the freedom of speech. And so we're heading in, I think, to difficult waters, uncharted waters. And NRB is here to defend free speech. And so we're all about this.
Well, we're all concerned about it. The other thing is that between the two potential platforms to take control of the country, it appears that at least on the Donald Trump side, there is an understanding of this concern. Do you agree?
Well, he has said clearly he wants to defend free speech, free up the pulpits even. In the past, because of the so-called Johnson Amendment, pastors had felt like they couldn't address political topics. He's been very specific about that. I think that's a good thing. And here's the issue, Perry. Only half, actually less than half of all evangelical Christians vote. That is a terrible statistic. Less than half end up voting. And when Jesus said, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, we've got to take that seriously. Now, for a lot of people who've lived under dictatorships, it just meant obeying, essentially. But the U.S. Constitution begins, we, the people, the government, extends from the people, the authority of the government. Lincoln said it's government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So rendering unto Caesar in an American democracy means we, the people, must be engaged in self-governance, and we must ensure the freedom of speech, the sanctity of innocent human life, the dignity of every human being. I mean, we are responsible, and these people who go to Capitol Hill, they're really our servants and an extension of us. And to abrogate your responsibility to vote is a failure in discipleship in Christianity.
Question about it. Dr. Johnson, in the last debate, I think the most stunning moment came when the question was asked by a member in the audience about the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And it was pretty clear that Hillary Clinton wanted a very liquid version of the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump came back and said, no, we got to return back to the Constitution. It has to be a defender of the Constitution. Your thoughts on that and where it may play into religious freedom and First Amendment rights?
Well, it's interesting. John Boehner today being interviewed said this is the number one issue for him. But going back to the debate, you're exactly right. Hillary Clinton did not mention the Constitution at all when asked about the Supreme Court. What she did mention were outcomes. And I just want to mention one of those outcomes. She said she wanted to uphold Roe versus Wade. Now, this is the landmark 1973 Supreme Court decision, which really legalized abortion. And combined with Doe versus Bolton, decided the same day, it legalized abortion really for any reason up to 9 months. And of course, we've got 3,000 to 4,000 abortions a day occurring. This is horrendous. And you're right. Mr. Trump said, I want to appoint judges that would uphold the Constitution. And he said, a justice like Scalia. So to me, that was a clear contrast between the two candidates and their view of the Supreme Court.
Tell us about your work now. You're being so close to Capitol Hill. What's been the response of your lobbying there on Capitol Hill? How's it going?
Well, it's good. And of course, we occupied, this office actually during the summer recess. And so, Congress is just now getting back. And of course, unfortunately, we're in the election cycle, in which case they're not doing a lot of business, to be frank. But we're still getting settled in. So that's actually pretty good for us. But we're going to be ready. After this election, the Congress it'll be a lame duck session, but obviously in the spring, there are going to be battles. It doesn't matter who wins this election. We're going to have to hold the Congress and the administration accountable, responsible. We're here, we're ready, we're here in full force. In the past, we had a very small office here in D.C. with just a couple of folks in it. Now we've got everyone here. We've really increased the footprint again to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. And that's really just the way it works here on Capitol Hill. And, we're very concerned, Perry, about the IRS and the threat to 501c3 status. We're very concerned about the Department of Education and the threat to pull accreditation. We're very concerned about the FCC and the threat to licenses. And I say that because of what's been happening in the federal government. Really, the federal government's position on sexuality is being pushed down in the military, pushed down in the State Department, pushed down in every federal agency. Essentially, if you don't agree with the federal position, you lose your accreditation, you lose your recognition, you lose your right to operate. And this is chilling when you think about tax-exempt status, FCC licenses, and accreditation for Christian colleges and schools. So we're here to stand up, to be salt and light.
I want you to know, you have been in our prayers the moment you moved in. because you're in an incredible area doing God's work. We so appreciate what you're doing and the advocacy that you represent for all of us Christian broadcasters. I wish so much I could have been there for you in September. I just couldn't get away to be there when you had the meeting. I look forward to working with you closely.
Well, I look forward to you being here, and I look forward to being in Medford to fish for some big old trout and salmon and steelhead. Let's do it soon.
I got evidence that if you ever got caught with the wrong picture, you could never run for public office.
That's right. Thanks so much, Perry.
God bless you, my friend. Best to you. See you soon.
You too.
Okay. All right. Dr. Jerry Johnson, President and CEO of the National Religious Broadcasters. We'll be right back.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.